Thanks for watching our City Council video recap for last night's meeting, Wednesday, April 26th, if I remember the calendar right.
Yes.
Today's a very sunny Thursday, finally.
Finally.
Um, Glad we've reached this point.
Yes.
I'm John LaFollette, Communications Manager for Harriman City, joined by the Mayor, Lauren Palmer. So glad to have you, Mayor. We're going to talk about last night's meeting,
Yeah.
which on the agenda was simple and relatively short.
Right.
As
Which
far
is
as
never the case.
right, discussion went a little bit longer, but we'll cut it to bite size here. So first, let's talk about the last voting item, which was about a water tank at Olympia. What happened there?
So, part of the Olympia development, we do need another water tank for capacity out in that area. And we were able to secure a state grant that's a matching grant to bring $1 million towards that water tank. But it also had to have an accompanying match. But fortunately, the developer agreed to put forward that match. So we're bringing $2 million into the community for infrastructure. It's not fun, infrastructure that gets talked about a lot, a water tank, but it's to save the city $2 million on some needed infrastructure is a big deal. So we were excited to approve that, to accept that. All we really had to do was vote to accept it. And so, of course, we're happy to vote to accept $2 million worth of
A hearty thumbs up.
funding. Yep. Already thumbs up.
And the other one was also dealing with Olympia. We're going to take a couple of minutes to explain how all this works because it's kind of complicated. Government finance is a little tricky sometimes. It's kind of a jungle to those who aren't familiar with it. So we'll explain public infrastructure districts as simply as we can. If you've read any of the city council recaps the last couple of years, really, you will have seen public infrastructure district, PID, or as we affectionately call them, PIDs.
Bids.
Let's start off with what is a PID, and then we'll get to the vote of last night's meeting.
So, like you said, PID is Public Infrastructure District, and this is just another way to fund the infrastructure that goes into a development, whether it be the roads, the sewer, the water lines, parks even are part of those fees. And historically, cities have operated primarily with impact fees, but impact fees kind of are becoming troublesome in a way because the funding happens at a different timing than the actual need of the infrastructure, and it's put cities kind of in a bind because that infrastructure ends up costing more than what the impact fees were collected. So really, a PID is just another way, it's just another financing option to say there's another way that we've got to collect money for the infrastructure, and hopefully with PIDs, the infrastructure comes in sooner. So you see it so it's not after the fact. Like I think we've all kind of been frustrated with that out here at times that the growth's here and the infrastructure lags behind. Hopefully the intent with PIDs is to accelerate that and have it in as the growth is happening or even sometimes before the growth is happening.
So essentially, with impact fees, the developer pays them. The intent is to pay for the impact, hence the name, of their new development on the existing community.
Correct.
And those impact fees are pulled from basically the costs of new buildings.
Correct.
And as those impact fees are paid, then it starts to accumulate in the city's bucket, if you will.
Right.
Whereas with the public infrastructure district, they can get that chunk of money ahead of time and then get paid back over time with
Correct.
using the PID tool.
Correct. It's a bond. A bonding agent gets involved at a lower interest rate and issues a bond against the homes being built as the collateral. And that's how they're able to bond against that now to get money now to get ahead of things.
So what happened last night with the Olympia PID?
So last night, Olympia brought forward the concept of they had a different concept in their master development agreement that allowed for a similar to an impact fee. We called it a contract fee. It was a little bit different, allowed them to kind of adjust the amount to cover different things, but they also needed a different tool to be able to get the public side of things done, the city obligated side of things in. So 2 weeks ago, we actually approved allowing PIDs in the city, and so now Olympia brought forward this option, and so unanimously last night we passed allowing Olympia to add that. It's a mill levy. It is a mill levy that will go on to the new residents of that area, just basically to allow growth to pay for growth. So the residents in that new area will help fund the growth in their area, and that's a lot of cities are going this way right now. So we just decided to go that direction at this point.
There are pros and cons to any financing mechanism. With the mill levy, that is essentially an extra property tax on that specific area, but it helps accelerate the infrastructure in that area to put the infrastructure ahead of the population growth.
And the concern is it will have to be built at some point. So with the mill levy in that area, the concept is those future residents in that area pay for it rather than having to turn around and tax the whole city for the infrastructure in that area. So I think you'll see these more and more pop up in communities that truly growth is going to pay for itself. The growth will pay for the growth. And again, it's pros and cons. It was not, took us a while to get there. It's been in the discussion for a couple of years, but we moved forward with our first one last night.
And to make clear, once that initial bond that paid for the infrastructure, everything is paid off, does that mill levy continue?
No, it goes away. Once that is paid off, the mill levy drops off. Once the infrastructure basically in and collected and paid for, then it moves on. And then that goes away.
Yeah. That was basically it as far as action items for the general meeting last night. So if you missed it, you can go to Harriman City's YouTube page or to harriman.org and the website. There are links to the YouTube videos, or on our Facebook page if you're a follower there. If you're not, you can follow us. We're on all the major social media platforms and our website. You can also read the written recaps right on the front page of harriman.org. So thanks for taking a few minutes to join Mayor Palmer and myself for the video recap for last night's meeting, and we'll catch you next time.